Tiny testicles, 1, 2, 3. Tiny testicles, 1, 2, and 3. I have tiny testicles, 3, 2, no, just 1. I only have 1 testicle, tiny. Pogo stick accident. Baxter, are we recording?
No, not yet, Pastor J. Let me go ahead and hit the record button right now.
All right, do it. Hey folks, Pastor Jay here from Know the Truth Ministries. Welcome to our show, The Chirstian Experience, or, as I like to call it, my live call-in radio show.
Although it's actually just a podcast.
Baxter, what the fuck? We're sticking with live call-in radio show because it sounds more legit.
Yeah, whatever, man. If you want to lie to all these people.
Where, through phone magic and this technology we call the internet, I can answer all of your prayers and any other questions that you may or may not have. Our goal here is to serve you so that you may find justification in sending us money, dick pics, and opinions we did not ask for. We are coming to you sort of live from a large yet humble trailer park in China Lake, California, which is located just outside of Death Valley. The local time is just a few minutes past midnight, and even though somebody keeps pooping in our backyard, it looks like it's going to be an amazing evening. Alright, so how are you doing tonight, Baxter?
Pretty good, I guess. I'm ice cold chilly if you ask me, but other than that, I'm pretty good.
Well, that must mean that your mother's in town.
What are you trying to say? My mother's cold as ass?
You mean ice?
That's what I said, ass.
Yeah, ice.
Ass.
So your mother's ass is cold as...
No, motherfucker, cold as ass. Like frozen H2O.
Oh, okay, yeah, ice. Okay, thanks for ruining the joke, Baxter.
Well, you're going to talk about how my mother's chilly and you're going to be the one to keep her warm?
Yeah, that's where I was going with that, but I guess it doesn't matter now. Let's talk about an email that I got.
Man, you don't get a lot of emails, do you?
No, I get about 1, maybe 2 a week, but some of them are spammy, if that's the proper term. Usually the content is about how bad the show is and how we can improve on it, so yeah, definitely spam. Anyway, this email is actually from a prince over in Nigeria.
Really? A Nigerian prince sent you an email?
Well, not actually. Not from the prince himself. Let me give you guys some background first. You see, a while back, my girlfriend Rachel received an email from this exact same person for pretty much the exact same thing. In the last email, the cousin of a prince from Nigeria let us in on a little secret on how we can become rich. So, naturally, we gave him everything we had in hopes that he would give us back treasures beyond measure. Well, that was last year. We pretty much gave up on this guy and just assumed he was another scammer, but nope, he's back in our lives again. Folks, patience is a virtue, and if you have God in your life, you can have patience too. Speaking of patience, you've all waited longer than pickled beets at a bachelorette party, so here's the email. The title of the email is Request for Assistance - Strictly Confidential. And it starts off, Dear J. Pester Como J. Jason, I am Dr. Bakare Tunde, cousin of Nigerian Prince Astronaut Air Force Major Abacha Tunde. He first African in space when made secret flight to Salyut 6 space station in 1979. He was for the pronoun later Soviet spaceflight Soyuz T-16Z to the secret Soviet military space station Salyut 8T in 1989. For bygones be observed, he stranded there in 1990 when the Soviet Union dissolved itself once more. His crew members of the nature of Soviet Armada returned to the ground Earth on Soyuz T-16Z, but he became cargo, otherwise known as part therefore of it. There have been Progress supply flights of airspace travel to keep him going since that time. Indeed, he was cargo in deep. He is in good humor, but wants to come home. In the 14 years since the station has consumed him, he has earned flight pay and interest amounting to almost 15 trillion American dollars pounds. This is held in a trust at the Lagos National Savings and Trust Association. If, much to your obliging, we can obtain access to here therefore money, we can place a down payment with the Russian space authorities for a Soyuz return flight to bring him back to Earth. I are told this will cost 3 million American dollars pounds. In order to access his trust fund, we need your assistance and grant you all and maybe and forever the consequences. Consequently, my colleagues are willing to transfer all the total amount to your account or subsequent disbursement, since we as civil servants are banned prohibited by the Code of Conduct Bureau from opening or opening foreign accounts in our names. Needless to say, as a must, the trust repose on you is this juncture is enormous. In return, we are agreed to offer you 200% of the transferred sum of American Tai Chi, while 100% shall be set aside for incidental expenses, in parentheses internal and external, between the parties in the course of due time of the transaction. You will be mandated to remit the balance 70% to other accounts in due course time of all the time ever. In humbled moistness, your marriage snippets. First of all, sir, your English is superb. Maybe one of these days I can give you the address to our church in addition to all of my other personal information, and I can get you to fly over here to teach my congregation a little bit of English. See, when my flock doesn't understand what I'm preaching to them, they fall asleep, and quite frankly, I'm sick of punishing them for it. Of course, some of them might see them falling asleep as an advantage, as this allows me to utilize this new robot I constructed from parts of stolen cars that seem to keep finding their way onto our newly paved parking lot. What I do is, when I notice that everyone's asleep, I switch myself out with the robot, and the robot continues on preaching for me. While it's doing that, it allows me to walk down the aisles and into the pews where I can take photographs of the feet of the more handsome woman who I've taken a liking to. On to my second point. I noticed that in your email you mentioned a prince. You might remember me stating this from our last exchange, but I feel like it's worth repeating. I am a prince too, except God is my king, which makes me the best prince out of all the princesses. Now, considering that your cousin and I are both princesses, I have no reason to believe that you're out to scam me or whatever happens to all those gullible people that live outside the walls of our compound. I do have a few questions, though. You mentioned that your prince cousin is in outer space. Last time I checked, that was literally impossible. I'm not sure what planet you live on, but I live on a flat, hollow Earth that's being projected upwards at a rate of 750 billion miles per second. That alone would make human space travel impossible, not to mention the fact that outer space doesn't even exist in the way that we know it to exist. With that being said, I know you ain't no liar. Liars can't make up stories like that. I just think you have your facts wrong. Of course, that's to be expected from someone who doesn't have a Texas American education. So with all that aside, yes, I will give you all of our money. Except this time I'm going to have to take it from the church since, again, Rachel and I are still waiting on the money that you promised us last time. Although, I'm sure it's the fault of the evil and corrupt worldwide Obama-run banking system. Anyway, give us a few months. I'm gonna put the women to work. Combine that with the money we make off the scrap metal from the stolen cars in our newly paved parking lot, and your little brown cousin will be home in your arms in no time. Thank you so much for doing business with us, and I really look forward to doing business with you in the future.
Okie dokie, Pastor J. Can I comment on all the things you just said?
Nope. You cannot.
Well, all right then. Want to move on to some calls?
What do our phone lines look like right now?
Right now, nobody's called in yet.
Then why the hell did you ask me if I wanted any callers?
No reason in particular. I just wanted to change the subject. Clearly, you do not want to talk about it.
Yeah, good call. I guess I can kill some time. Do you like stories? I can tell you about the Bigfoot I saw up at my parents' house last year.
You even saw an old Bigfoot?
Yeah, it's kind of a confusing story. A lot happened in it. In fact, some of our listeners may have even heard it, as I've told this one before.
Well, I ain't doing anything else tonight, so go ahead and shoot. Give me your story.
All right, so to paint this picture, my family, my mom and dad, they live up in the boondocks of New Hampshire. In fact, their home is the only place in the world that's exactly like Siberia. Except for Siberia, of course. It's so remote that even at night, you can't see the neighbor's porch lights, and if you're lucky, you might see about 3 cars pass during the day. The forest is claustrophobic and haunting, and if you're in need of basic supplies, it's about a 20-minute drive to a tiny home that moonlights as a convenience store and post office. By store, I mean they have a bookshelf with a few cans of ravioli, and by post office, I mean they may send out a letter for you as long as you show up when they're open. If you need cigarettes, hookers, or beer, forget about it. That's a day trip all the way into Manchester. Honestly, though, the woman in New Hampshire, somehow with all of those vices, your life expectancy will be much higher if you leave woman out of the equation. Back to my parents' home. So I go to visit them, and it's the dead of winter. Snow is everywhere. I arrived there fairly early in the morning, and for the most part hung out with my mom, sewing dresses together while my father was outside shoveling snow, chopping wood, doing maintenance on the house, things like that. It was a really good time, actually. Well, that evening, my mother went to bed while my father and I stayed up talking and drinking and smoking weed. At some point, he came up with this great idea to play a prank on my mother. As high as we were, though, we came up with nothing. That is until my father shouted,
Eureka!
I could tell that he noticed a confused look on my face, but he quickly disregarded it and ran down to the basement with the same urgency of a young rhino bull bearing down on its first human kill. As quickly as he disappeared, he was back. With a smile on his face, he raised up a pair of prosthetic Bigfoot feet. Why he had a pair of prosthetic Bigfoot feet lying around the house, I'll never know. As quietly as we could, we made our way into the backyard and slowly started imprinting these prosthetic Bigfoot feet into the snow. After about 20 minutes, we figured that our job was done, so we went back into the house and decided to call it a night. The next morning, I woke up to the shrilliest scream I've ever heard. My mother was freaking out, so I got out of bed to make my way downstairs. Upon entering the living room, I caught my dad's eyes first. He smirked at me with a smirk that said,
Well done, son. I couldn't be more proud of you.
It also said,
If you give up the fact that this was a prank, I will fucking kill you.
I nodded, letting him know that I understood, and I walked over to my mother who was staring out the living room window. What, Mother? I asked.
Look outside. A family of big feets were in our backyard.
She exclaimed. Just to play along, I glanced out the window at the impressions in the snow and pretended to be in shock. But it didn't take more than a second for that pretend shock to turn into a gut-wrenching fear. I looked to my father and noticed that for the first time, he finally realized what had happened. See, folks, somehow our practical joke inadvertently attracted a family of big feets to our home. We sort of went through the rest of the day in a daze. What could this mean for us? Will we ever be able to escape? Throughout the day, I continuously searched the woods behind the comfort of the windows in my parents' home, but I found nothing. Maybe they left to terrorize the people next door. Maybe hunters nabbed them. Maybe I was still really high from the night before. Either way, night finally stole the daylight from us, and as my parents snored soundly above me in their room, I lay awake, pondering. Around 3 in the morning, my sister comes barging in through the front door, and I'm like, Hey, what are you doing here? Naturally, she got mad at me for not welcoming her properly, which I would have gotten mad too, so I don't blame her. I ended up explaining to her that there's some shit going on outside and it's not safe to be here after dark. She gave me a confused look and then she said,
Pastor Jay, Mom and Dad are out on the front porch right now, and they're looking at something in the woods. You might want to check on them.
The tone in her voice gave me chills. Then I thought, they were just upstairs sleeping. How did they get past me without me noticing them? And who the fuck is still snoring upstairs? Ignoring those thoughts, I slowly walked towards the front porch, and when I got there, I noticed my parents were sitting in their respective old people chairs. They were staring off into the distance as if in a trance. Mama, Papa, can you hear me? I inquired. Nothing. It's as if I was a ghost to them. I asked again, Can you hear me? Suddenly, they both turned to me, and in unison they stated,
Baxter is you, and you are Baxter. You're one and the same. You're one and the same. Get some help or seek a pastor. You're going insane. You're going insane.
Suddenly, off in the woods, I heard a twig snap. Only this time it sounded different. On instinct, I ran back into the house and grabbed a million-jewel flashlight that was left on top of the refrigerator. I think that's the brightest flashlight you can legally get. With flashlight in hand, I ran back to the front porch, and without warning, I shone the flashlight into the darkness. It was then that I noticed that there was no snow on the ground. Snow that was only there a few hours ago. Instead, the only whiteness we saw was a family of Yeti. A mama, a papa, and a baby that was chewing on what looked like a human femur bone. So, that's where the twig snapping sound came from, I thought. They were staring at us, blood dripping from their mouths. About 5 seconds went by and no one moved. No one spake, no one cried, no one grunted. Without warning, this group of Yeti charged us, and as if running from a stampede, my entire family ran out the back door and up the mountainside behind the house. What made this so difficult was the snow was back on the ground again. Thick snow. As we ran up this mountainside, I looked to my left, and I looked to my right. The entire town was also running up this mountainside. People, animals, buildings. all running to save their own lives. But that's not what confused me. What confused me was the Yeti. All of the Yeti were running up the mountain with us. Terrified for my fellow human townsfolk, I didn't know what to do. That is until I spotted him. I was elated. This was the only Asian guy I knew that lived in this town. At some point during all of this, he dug a foxhole into the snow and assumed the position. He was firing a sniper rifle that was in the shape of a guitar. I watched as he aimed down his scope and ended the lives of all the Yeti that were making their way up the mountainside. Without hesitation, I joined him. I grabbed another rifle that was in the shape of a custom 1987 Gibson Explorer, and I started shooting too. Over the next 20 minutes, I would say that we killed about 100 of these Yeti monsters. As we were reloading our weapons, a chilling announcement came through the radio that was attached to this Asian man's shoulder.
Whoever's shooting, stop shooting, please. The Yeti aren't our enemy. I repeat, the Yeti aren't our enemies. In fact, it seems as if they're running from something else that's chasing them up the mountain. We believe that it's aliens. Aliens with whistles. Rape whistles.
As he said those words, the sounds of rape whistles emerged from the woods. Millions of them, it seemed. Between my guilt for murdering innocent Yetis and my irrational fear of rape whistles, I blacked out. All right, Baxter, do we have any new phone calls?
Man, what the fuck? What the hell happened after you woke up?
Baxter, do we have any phone calls? Please.
No, man. You finished the goddamn story.
Okay. I woke up a short time later in the arms of that girl from the movie theater. She was tending to my wounds. Wounds I didn't even know I had. With one hand, I started to unbuckle my belt, and with the other, I fondled her breast until she...
Fuck you, Pastor J. That's not how the story ends, and you know it.
I was just getting to the good part, Baxter.
You know what? I'm done with you tickling my pickle. We got someone on the line. Maybe you can make shit up with them, too.
I never make up shit, Baxter. I'm a pastor.
No, you're an atheist.
Who's our first caller?
First caller is a guy that goes by the name of D. Wayne.
Oh, you mean like Dwayne?
No, it's actually spelled out D and then a Wayne.
That makes no sense whatsoever. Unless he was in a gang or something. Is he in a gang? Is he black?
Fuck, Pastor, I don't know. And why the fuck should that matter?
Yeah, you're right. Put him on. Mr. D. Wayne, you are live on air. How can I help you today?
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hello, this is Mr. D. Wayne.
How you doing, D. Wayne?
D. fucking Wayne. How are you, Pastor J?
Well, Baxter gave me herpes.
Wow, that sounds pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
It's okay.
I'm calling because I found your number on the internet, and I figured I've seen you around from here to there once a time or two, maybe a dozen. And I figured, we disagree on things, the whole Jesus thing, but I admire what you're doing with your flock. You're doing pretty good things, so I hear. So I'd like to give you an idea for your flock that it may prosper and become gay in the way that is not against Jesus' wishes and such. So are you ready for this?
Yeah, sure.
Jason, are you ready?
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah, what?
Jason, are you even paying attention?
Yeah, I've been listening the whole time.
This is very serious.
Yeah.
Okay. This is about your flock. Are you listening?
Yes.
Seriously, dude.
Yeah.
Seriously. Why do you sound like Cookie Monster right now? You don't sound like you're taking this very seriously at all, but whatever. Here goes. All right. So you know how a whole bunch of Christians take communion, right?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to represent the blood and the body of Jesus Christ,
right?
The Lord and Savior of your sins and such.
Yeah.
Why is it that Christians insist on remembering their Savior as a tasteless, thin wafer that does not provide even the slightest bit of sustenance for you, and then like lukewarm grape juice? Like, what is that about, Pastor Jay? Could you elaborate on that? Because that's kind of like frustrating to see you guys do that to Jesus, even though I don't believe in him. So here's the idea. Since, you guys have already been screwing this up for a while, why don't you start a family communion Christian restaurant of some kind. You can name it whatever you want, but I suggest you have beef Jesus. You have chicken Jesus. Even sushi Jesus. And there are those that don't believe that the Levitical law applies anymore, and they eat shrimp, so you could even have shrimp Jesus for those heathenist bastards. So, yeah, that's my idea. I think you could rake in a lot of money to go towards your spaceship or whatever it is that you're building. I wish you luck with that. Is there anything that you have for me before I go?
Yeah, first of all, that whole spaceship thing, that's not a true thing. I don't even know what a spaceship is. And second, with the whole wafer communion thing, that's actually a really good idea. One of the things, though, is in order to fully enjoy the taste of Jesus and the blood of Jesus, you have to be a Christian. Otherwise, everything you eat and taste will taste like nothing because you're an unbeliever.
Oh.
It's almost like you get these magic powers where everything just automatically tastes better as long as you pray over it and shit like that.
Well,
but I do like your idea of creating this new restaurant or whatever it is you're talking about, because it's a good chance to have people who don't believe have a small taste of Jesus inside of their mouth. Yes, Dwayne. I think I'm going to look into that. I got to talk to my church. But yeah, I appreciate it, man.
God bless you, I guess, then.
Yeah. God bless you and America. Baxter, who is our second caller of the night?
Oh, this next guy doesn't really want to ask a question. He just has a testimony he wants to give. Seems like a pretty straight up fella.
All right, what's his name?
Says his name is Jason.
Oh, a nice, good, strong Christian name. Jason, you're on air.
This message is for Pastor Jason Homo. I was an atheist when I was 12, but I have found Jesus, and I believe in Trump and all he is. I want to build that wall. I am going to volunteer my life and my 27 children to build in that wall. I hate the Mexicans and I love my guns. Thank you, Pastor Jason Homo. If it wasn't for you, I might be dead. Thank you again.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad I saved your life. There's one thing I do want to say, though. Actually, there's two things. The first thing is my last name is Homo, not Homo. So please get that straight. And second, as far as building the wall and as far as who you should direct your hate towards, I would look north at the Canadians. You see, everybody's backing up Trump right now as if there's this huge threat from down below. But what's really happening is Mr. Donald Trump is really a puppet to blind us from the fact that the true enemies come from the north. Again, the Canadians. I can't give you all the details right now as I'm still doing my research, but do your own research. Look up Wikipedia, Google, naturalnews.com, and you'll see how corrupt, evil, and harmful the Canadians really are. Other than that, thank you very much for the call. You sound like a real American hero. Baxter, who do we have on next?
Looks like we have a Chris from Podunk, Tennessee.
Chris, welcome to the show. You're live on air.
Hello. Is this thing out? Look. Pastor Jay?
Yep.
Yeah, this is Chris from Podunk, Tennessee.
Hey, Chris.
Look, I've been listening to your little YouTube shenanigans too long now, and I just got to tell you, you and your Yankee brethren need to stop coming down here and telling the truth. I mean, the false. I mean, I don't know what I mean. I just know that you're Yankees, and we don't like you down here. The real Christians are down here with the KKK, okay? We're the ones that carry the true cross, Jesus Christ, okay? So, next time you get on your little YouTube show, Fancy Schmancy Boy, make sure you tell everybody what a fake you are. Boy, bye.
Oh, yes. Chris from Grindr. Now I remember you. Baxter, this is a guy I was telling you about who was all pissed off at me because I rejected his advances.
Oh, that Chris. Oh, my God. Yes, he's a fucking psycho.
Yeah, so callers, yeah, this guy, this call, it's just a fake. He's just trying to slander our name. and our live radio show
/ podcast.
And we also want to make it clear that we are not a hateful radio show. We are all inclusive. So the views and opinions of our callers do not reflect how we feel. All right, on to the advertisements. We, again, don't have a script for an advertisement, so I'm going to look around the room and come up with something off the top of my head because I need to fill up some time here. Baxter, cue the music. Do you ever walk into your studio and find it's unkempt? Do you notice that things are out of place even? How about your trash can? Is it full? Has it been emptied in a while? If you're like me, these types of things can stop you from doing the work that you want to do. Allow me to introduce a girlfriend. With a girlfriend, you can have her come into the studio and clean up everything for you. You don't have to pay her. You don't have to give her treats. And only if you want to, you can feed her. For only $599.95, not including visa taxes, you too can have your own girlfriend. She can be Russian, she can be Asian, she can even be a boy girl, whatever you choose. Act now and act quickly as time is running out. Time is running out on their lives. You see, when these women aren't purchased, they will be euthanized. It's what the New World Order calls population control. So really what you're doing is, you're buying companionship for life, you're buying somebody who will clean your house, and you're buying the life of a human bag of meat. Order now and I can get you the second one for half the price. Call us at 512-956-TRUTH. That's 512-956-TRUTH. Thank you in advance for saving somebody's life. And you're welcome for making your life that much better. Okie dokie, Baxter. We have time for one more call. Who do we have?
Pastor, I don't think you're going to like this, but this caller that we're getting is from the same number from the guy who called us with those cat facts. I think this might be another prank call.
Oh, that motherfucker. Yep. Put him on. We're going to trace this call. We're going to figure out what the fuck this guy's issue is. Hello, Mr. Person from Cat Facts. You're live on air.
Call him now. I'm calling him. Just relax.
Hello, you're live on air.
Yeah.
You're live.
Tell me when he picks up. Oh, he picked up. Pastor J, my apprentice has something he'd like to say.
Okay.
Tell him you will fulfill your destiny.
What the fuck?
Pastor, it was me who called the Cat Facts. It's Brain.
Hey, Brain. Yeah, that was fucked up what you did, man.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I really am sorry. I just...
Brain?
Pastor J.
Yeah?
He will be punished.
You're my real dad.
You don't have to punish him.
I'm being torn apart, Pastor J.
What?
I want to be free of this pain. Will you help me?
Yeah, find Jesus. You don't have to have pain.
That's great.
What?
So, our team has returned with the DNA test. And Pastor J.
Yeah?
You are Brian's father.
No!
I knew he was your kid.
What?
I told you.
That's my son?
I knew it when you at that glory vomitorium.
This is fucked up. Hello?
Oh, I had to cut him off, Pastor. Things just got weird.
Oh. So I guess that's the end of the show. I can't do this anymore. Baxter, we're done. Alrighty, folks, that's it for us tonight. You can reach us via email, Facebook, Twitter, Vines, Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, Spreaker, Stitcher, and iTunes. When you search for us, just type in the search bar, Know the Truth. That's KONW, the TRUT. Alternatively, you can just click on the links provided in the show notes and you will be directed to us via whatever platform you choose to use. Of course, for the purposes of the show, call our number at 512-956-8788 or 512-956-TRUT. That's TRUT, TRUT. The music for this podcast was written and produced by me, and you can find everything I've created over at aloststateofmind.com, all one word, or aloststateofmind.bandcamp.com. As always, in a world of magic and make pretend, anything is possible. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Sleep easy.